What's going on, guys? Finally, I'm able to give you guys an update on what's going on with the 54-gallon Planet Discus slash Ultimate Angel fish tank here. So I've actually been kind of pushing this off for a while now, and I finally got around to actually swapping out the substrate of the tank. So the substrate was actually used from a previous setup for about a year and a half prior to that, and then this whole year in 2019. So the substrate was about 2.5 years old, that I would say. And when you kind of get to that stage of a substrate, it starts to lose a lot of nutrients and whatnot in the actual substrate. And that's when you actually have to kind of dose pretty heavily in the water columns or add in root tablets. So during the winter months, this is kind of when I kind of put a pause to a lot of my Planet tanks. I kind of let it just kind of chill, just because I'm not really trying to actively grow them and ship them out, just because it's way too cold to actually ship plants out. Yes, I can use a heat pack, but some of the plants are very delicate anyways, and with just any fluctuation, they start to kind of not do really well. So I kind of normally just pause for about 3 months during the winter seasons and just kind of let the tank kind of go on autopilot. And since I'm not really growing anything here, massively, and it's just really just trying to get things consistently healthy, I decided, it's time to go ahead and just kind of swap this. So luckily I actually have a 50-gallon tank outside in the garage, pretty much fully cycled and just ready to house anything if I, need it for quarantine, or in a situation like this where, I need to kind of move some of these fish into a tank temporarily while I pull out all the substrate and kind of let the tank recycle. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is probably the thing I hate most about Planet tanks, is just swapping substrate or changing up stuff, changing, aquascapes or whatever. It makes a mess. It's just crazy. It's just, everything just flies everywhere. It's a nightmare just because removing it, adding in new stuff, it sucks really bad. So after I moved the fish out of the tank, I went ahead and just pulled all the plants. And really, I pulled all the carpet plants because they were kind of covered in semi algae, not really like your typical normal algae. It was kind of like black beer algae just here and there. So I just decided to just pull everything out and just kind of possibly start fresh and just kind of do small patches of the carpeting plant. So after removing all the substrate, I went ahead and just disposed of that substrate just because it's already been used to its max capacity, and I'm probably not going to use it anyways. I actually have a bunch of substrate outside that is just kind of been parked from the other tanks. So I went ahead and just grabbed like 2 of those bucket full of just substrate, dumped it in here, and again, these are used substrate already, so it's probably about a year-ish. So I will probably have about another year and a year and a half of utilizing the substrate. And again, I'll probably end up having to swap it again next year. So how I tell in terms of when I need to swap substrate is basically how my plants are performing. So normally, these certain plants, they grow at a certain rate. Just because I'm consistently dumping CO2 into the tank, and I'm consistently feeding the water column with already just fertilizer, and with the active substrate, it normally grows about 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, the stem will grow from top to bottom of the tank pretty fast. When I start noticing the leaves kind of just not as healthy or they don't grow as fast, that's when I know the substrate is kind of getting to that time where it needs to be swapped. So I'll probably keep an eye out on when that happens and do that swap. For the most part, most of these stem plants are, pretty much from the old setup, picking out the good stems, replanting them, and, letting them grow probably for the next month or so. So the one thing that's going to be different this time around is actually adding some of the crypts into the actual display tank. I had a lot of these in the sump area growing, and they were actually growing very well and thriving really well. So I went ahead and just moved them up top just because, you know what, I haven't really grown these plants, to its full capacity and, to see how nice it grows. So I figured I'd just pull them up, put them up here, and just see what they look like. Especially when you're using aqua soil, it has ammonia in the actual soil, so it'll leach ammonia, and it'll cause your tank to recycle pretty much. So when people say just add in, beneficial bacteria or have an established bag of bacteria or media or whatever, throw it in a tank and it's considered fully cycled, that is not 100% true, especially when you're using aqua soil. When you put that in there, I can almost guarantee you that you will have to at least cycle the tank for at least a week to 2 weeks again. No matter how established your media is, there's just so much ammonia in the actual substrate that your bacteria won't keep up. If you're actually considering trying to swap to aqua soil, make sure you have another tank to put the fish in, because your main tank that you're actually swapping the soil in will go through a mini cycle, and your fish could die from the high ammonia or the high nitrites. So be prepared for that. So after a week, I tested the water again, and the tank was fully cycled again, and that's when I actually added in the fish again. So you're looking at the tank maybe 2 weeks after a week of cycling. So this is the third week of the brand new substrate in here with the plants in here, and I added in the fish again. And of course, the fish is already like removing a bunch of my plants and not giving them a chance to root. What I can already tell is the Pogo Kimberleys are already taking shape and actually growing really well. This is actually one of the plant indicators that I will notice, die first or kind of just won't grow really well when the substrate isn't, at its best. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing what this tank can actually do in a few months now. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fully lush, but I'm more interested in the creps and just seeing, it fully grow out. Alright guys, and that is the update for the week. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And like always, until next time guys, peace.